All right, what's up, everybody, and welcome to another I'm Just Saying production, where today we are coming at you with another season of Love After Lockup, Season 6, episode, I don't know, but this episode is called Read Between the Lies. This is the first episode of the first installment to the second half of the new couples that they have brought to our attention on the last season, which was still season 6. But like I said, there are so many episodes, I don't know where to leave off from. But let's get into this one. So the season starts off with the first couple, which is Letitia and Keith. Now, y'all remember Letitia and Keith from maybe the season before this one, where she was basically spending up money that didn't belong to her. At that time, they were getting engaged, and she really wanted this really expensive ring. So she did all she could, lied, cheated, and, cut corners to get this big $10,000 ring. We'll get into that a little bit later. So they go on to explain that Letitia and Keith have been together for about 4 years. And out of those 4 years, they've been married for 2. So they got married in prison. Now he's about to get out of serving his 11-year and 2-month sentence. He just recently got released. And she is excited, and we're going through all the motions of her preparing to pick him up from the bus station, where I'm assuming the prison is dropping him off so that way he can catch a bus to Colorado. Well, actually, they're already in Colorado, back to Iowa. Now, she has planned this big, extravagant, luxurious, intimate travel trip in this huge stretch limousine SUV. Can't remember what brand it was, but it was a big SUV laid out with pillows, balloons, and champagne. So once they arrive, they have to go through all the explaining. Oh, this is my husband. We've been together so long. This is what she's telling the chauffeur now. And he's been locked up for 11 years, and I'm so happy for him. And this is like the best day of my life because, with the pink lipstick and everything, she's giving me ditzy. But hey, whatever. She also let us know that she has recently been charged for felony 2, or I don't know if it's felony charge or not, but it was second degree theft. Somehow, some way, she has a business, a tax business. Somebody must have complained on her, talking about she was finagling money, and now she's living with that. So it's been kind of rough with her for the past couple of months to a year, while she's been having to hold it down on her own in the struggle, waiting for her man to come home. But now, since he's coming home and he's home, life is going to be so much better. And from the sounds of it, Keith is trying his best to walk the straight and narrow. He's not trying to get into any trouble, no matter how big or how small, because he's not trying to go back after serving in 11 years. And I believe that's a pretty long stint to learn your lesson. So after meeting him in the lobby of the bus station and exchanging clothes so that way he can change and be comfortable, she says, hey, look, I got this surprise for you. They walk out and bam, there's the stretch limousine. And he's like, well, what's going on with this? Who's riding in this? And she's like, we are. I figured that we can just ride this trip all the way, because this is going to be at least a 24-hour ride. And he was like, no, not the way my PO is set up, and I'm not trying to get in trouble for nobody. So I think I can, sacrifice the flesh for my freedom. And that was that. And I guess they rode around for a little while in the city until the bus actually got there, and she alleged that she was going to ride the bus with him just so she can stay by his side, but we did not see that. And I'm pretty sure that limo driver, whether or not he rode or didn't, that fee still need to be paid. So who knows? was cute or whatever, but I do feel like the cameraman was trying to, throw a little bit of shade, because that ring that they kept zooming up on was not giving me $10,000 worth. And it sure didn't look like the ring that she had during the prior season, where she did make this whole funk about the ring, and he told her to take it back and get his money back because he needed that money. So I'm assuming she did what she had to do, and they went ahead and downsized. But who knows? We'll see if that should ever come up in the seasons to come. That was pretty much that on that. And we're moving on to couple number 2. So, we have Will and Courtney. The last episode, they kind of left off on a rocky patch. We're not really sure if they were supposed to be together or not. He went back to California. She stayed in Oregon, or either Oregon versus California. Anyway, they had to separate and part ways because she was still in the halfway house, needing to serve out her probation. And of course, he needed to get back to work. So now we see that they are still together and they are still living the long distance relationship. So it begins with Will just basically stating that he lost Courtney. Somehow, some way, they were tracking each other, or he was tracking her phone. And one day she just went missing. So now mind you, it's only been 6 weeks since she's been out, and they got married and did all of that stuff within that little season, which was 6 weeks ago, according to the review. He's starting to have some regrets on the relationship. So as he's getting ready, wondering what's going on with Courtney, he calls Courtney's mom, lets her know, listen, I can't find your daughter. Have you heard from her? Mom's a little concerned too, because she hasn't heard from her. So, hey, she's just like, well, let's just keep her all in prayer. But we know that mom is probably in the back of her mind thinking she done been there and done that, and kind of just taking it easy, waiting to see what's going to happen, right? So he goes out and he gets ready to go see his friend at a local bar and pub. They have some drinks and all that kind of good stuff like that. And he's just explaining to his friend how he's kind of regretting the whole marriage and being with Courtney. As he's in the middle of doing all this, guess who decides to call? That's right, Courtney. Now, Courtney's calling with a sob story. She's crying, snotting, hooting, and hollering, and all types of tear-jerking sound effects. Basically letting him know that she got locked up again. How did she get locked up? Well. Courtney has not been able to kick the monkey off of her back, and I guess the halfway house did a room check, and they happened to find what they call GHB. Don't ask me what it is, have no idea, but how Courtney explains it is some kind of liquid that you can get high on. That's all we know. At this point, Will didn't know this either, but at this point, Will is extremely upset and disappointed in Courtney because he promised her that, she was going to kick the habit, and she's already in the process of being under an investigation for a separate charge upon her release that she had just 6 weeks ago. And all of this happening can impede and or affect her ability to transfer from Oregon to where he is in California. And Will is like, listen, we all know that Will can kind of keep it real a little too real. But he basically said, I didn't sign up to be a prison husband. That's not what I'm about. That's not my expectation. And she knew this, and this is just not what's up, right? So he's kind of like battling between that. And of course, we already know that Courtney is not calling because she got locked up again, but she probably needs something. Now, based on the last season, it seems like she was taking advantage of Will because she already had some other little shenanigans going on in the background that she was dealing with some other kind of dudes, and he kind of looked over that because he was so in love. So she calls Will during this call and asks if he can still put her allowance on her books. Ain't that something? After explaining all of this, can you still put my allowance on my books? And he said, heck to the no. Heck no. And I don't blame him. I mean, of course, that's his wife, and you want to make sure that you provide for her. But at this point, he is seeing this as an opportunity to discipline, I guess, or some kind of, I'm not going to continue to fund your habit as you go in and out of jail because I didn't agree to all this. You broke your agreement. Therefore, I'm going to break mine, which is paying you an allowance every month. Now, I don't know how much that allowance is, but I guess it's enough for her to get by and pay her little bills or whatever it is she got going on because allegedly she likes high-end things. So he's able to do that. And of course, he's just regretting the thousands of dollars that he has already invested into this relationship, such as that $10,000 ring that he keeps hollering about. So I don't know if she still has that or if it's been confiscated while she's been locked up or whatever the case is. But we do know that he said that he said allegedly that he is not going to be sending her any money. And guess what he told her, which was so crazy? Sit in there, eat that jail food, and wait it out. Because he wasn't sending no money. So that ends that with Will and Courtney. We don't know what's going to happen, if she's going to be released, what the situation is with Courtney, but all we know is that at this moment, it looks like we are on the downslide for Will and Courtney, and we don't know if this relationship is going to continue to make it work throughout the rest of the season because he might be giving up.
Okay, now we have the fan favorite, Demarok, D. Anyway, D is back with his throuple for trouble. We got Kiana and Joella and Demondrick. I don't know why I keep saying that man's name wrong. Demondrick, but we still gonna call him D. Now, anyway, D is now moving out of his parents' home and moving in with Kiana. They are finally going to go ahead and move forward and give it the best that they got, but not without Joella tagging along as the third wheel because that's what she likes doing. Joella is playing the role of the bitter baby mama that just cannot let go of Demondrick. Even though Demondrick has clearly made his decision that he wants to continue to be in a faithful, loving, and or committed relationship where he has chose to move in with Kiana and her 2 children, which she did introduce to us on this new episode. I believe she has a girl and a boy. Now, all of that chitter chatter that was going on in social media, on YouTube and blogs and all that about her keeping secrets of having children and following after Demondrick and all that other kind of stuff has now been put to rest because she is now introducing those children into the fold, which I would prefer that you don't bring your kids on TV, but hey, there we go with that. Anyway, moving forward, Demondrick has made his decision. He's moving in with Joella. This is opening up the episode or the season that we're still going to see this back and forth, teetering, tottering with Kiana and Joella. Demondrick stops by Joella's house. They have a conversation basically about the kids and what are we doing here, and she's basically upset and wants to expose Demondrick that he is still out here with his shenanigans and antics because he is still hitting her up on the hotline wanting to get in those draws, if not already been in them. So we will see how that is going. He said he made his choice, but has he really? We shall see. Next up, Justine and Michael. We are not going to spend that much time on them because their storyline is a little lackluster for me. I think this should be their last season because they have actually reached the level to where they are doing well. They're both entrepreneurs, and the best storyline that we have so far for them this year is how much money they're going to spend. Apparently, they are doing somewhat well for themselves. They are able to manage the household of taking care of all of those children, and still being able to put food on the table, clothes on their back, afford, luxurious cars. They have a business where they basically a Turo business. They rent Turo cars. And that's making them money. He now wants to go on another business venture with his barber, who happens to be a so-called celebrity barber in Vegas. He wants to open up a his and her next door barbershop / salon, and believes that he can invest about $100,000. Now, unfortunately, Justine has elevated. She has now said, you know what? Our prison wedding was great and I enjoy it. And I'm so thankful and I love you so much. But I believe that I have pushed out these 2 children and I've done so much for you and our relationship. I believe that I deserve, or I would like, a $60,000 wedding. Now, I know that's not uncommon for some people. Some people have spent more than that, but is it really necessarily important? In my opinion, no. I do agree with Michael that, when you have plans and goals, there is much more that you can invest on in life for your family and your future, just rather than investing it in one day. Because that's $60,000 on one day, one big party, and you want to have 6 and 7 changes of outfits because she wants to relive like this princess fairy tale wedding, because she most likely probably feels like she's living in a fairy tale. She has the man of her dreams, she has her family, she has her children, she has support, she has money, everything is going well. So that's basically summing it up with them. We don't know what else they're going to be giving this season, but if this is all we have to go on, let this be their last season. They can go on another show to talk about wedding plans. That can be a spinoff for something else, or probably get a show on HGTV for flipping and building or something along those lines. But you're kind of taking away from our interest. So moving along from them. All right, now we got Brooke and Jay Kizzle coming out of Texas. Now this is another fan favorite for me. So Brooke and JK are still shacking up in JK's mama's living room. At least they have moved up and out of the guest room / nursing room to the living room floor, where mom is becoming a little too uncomfortable and she's starting to feel overcrowded, which means Brooke is wearing out her stay. Now, Brooke has her own apartment that she shares with a roommate, and we'll get into the rest of the tea that was spilled later on in the episode. But she is still, mind you, and she still got kids. 2 kids. Where are these boys at while she's sleeping on the floor at JK's mama house in that small little Texas home. It's comfortable and it's cozy and it's nice, but at the same time, girl, find you something to do and somewhere to go. Now, in this episode, we open up with them, like I said, waking up on the air mattress, and she is headed off to work while JK is probably trying to figure out what he's going to do for the rest of his day, not before exchanging pleasantries in regards to if she's still tracking his phone or not, but she still has some insecurities there because he was dipping and diving and too unsure what he wanted to do with his life as far as their relationship, and she's already kind of she's still tracking him. Long story short, that's just what it is. Now, he also explained that he has a business plan, or he has some ideas to get into the trucking game by purchasing a hot shot. So that's going to be one of his to-dos for the day. Now, as the morning continues to proceed, she puts on her clothes and she's headed off to pick up her kids and take them to school and go to work. Now, while she's off doing that, JK is off with his, I guess it's his best friend or his cousin, checking out probably a F-150 or a 250 or one of them big old Tonka truck hauling trucks to do this hot shot stuff, right? And hot shot is basically you just using a pickup truck that has the same power as a diesel moving U-Haul truck, so you can just, move things around. You probably seen them before. Big Tonka trucks still carrying around loads of vehicles going here, there, doing local trips and stuff. So anyway, he shows up to this independent dealer, looks like a homeowner or somebody else who's probably in the trucking industry that's trying to get off one of his trucks, and he's selling it for $25,000. Now, we know that JK is still currently unemployed, on probation, and has no money for no down payment. Yet he kept it all the way real with the owner of the truck and said, hey, look, I'm just coming to look at the truck and see what I can do and probably try to get some financing. Now, it seems that JK does have a good head on his shoulder. He's trying to stay focused. He's trying to do the right thing. He's thinking about, making the proper steps on getting some financial stability. One of those things happens to be establishing a business line of credit, possibly to, purchase this truck. Now, from experience and what I've seen, it is not that easy as a new business owner to get a business credit card or establish any kind of business line of credit. So hopefully he'll go down to the Texas State Business Association and try to get him a little start him up business loan, but good luck on that, considering his background, and maybe his mom or his family will help contribute towards a down payment or co-signing on a $25,000 loan. We don't know, but it seems like his mom might do something like that because she's already allowing this grown man to allow his grown girlfriend to cohabitate in her living room. So I'm pretty sure she will enable him to do pretty much anything else. The only thing she's more concerned about is them wanting to have children so bad that he's moving a little bit too fast too soon, and he don't have his priorities together, which he doesn't. The episode opened up with them trying to make sure that some kind of baby seed liquid done went all the way up her uterus, so that way the swimmers can swim. So this is all wrong. Now, coming to a conclusion on them, while he's out trying to get financing on this truck with no money and no down payment, no job, no credit, she runs up on her roommate at work and, just begins to tell her roommate, look, I need to have a talk with you. And, Brooke is like so dramatic and extra. blowing everything out of proportion, or just putting 20 always on 10. She tells her roommate, look, I understand you had some hardships or whatever, but you working out. I cannot afford to carry your weight and mine. And the roommate is like, well, where is all this coming from? What's really good with you? So Brooke seems, and mind you, the roommate is JK's best friend, or former ex-girlfriend, then best friend. Now they're just cool, and now you're Brooke's roommate, which is all the way weird. But anyway, she was like, well, Brooke says, well, if I tell you, you have to promise to have my back and not say anything to JK. Now, Brooke wants the roommate to have some kind of girlfriend solidarity and keep this secret. Now, they're making it seem like it's this huge secret, but really she just lost her job. She don't have no money because, and what's so confusing is that the job she had, I thought it was like a business owned by her parents. But anyway, she explains that she lost her job because when JK was last season, when JK was out there trying to go to his ex-girlfriend's house, or Ashley house somewhere, whoever the girl's name was, she ran off the job chasing after JK. And now she is unemployed and looking for a job. So instead of her getting at her roommate about not paying bills, she should have been asking for a job and a job application. So that's where we are with that. We shall see where it ends up later on in the season. Now, last but not least, we have Bianca and Daniel. They're back. The trauma bonded couple of the season. They've been together for 6 months, or it's been 6 months since he's been out. They have recently moved in together, and Daniel's still dealing with some healing and insecurity issues, and but he's doing pretty good. He got a car, still has a job, and he's trying to stay clean, and he's making all the good efforts in order to do that, which is he also joined like a special physical group that's basically keeping them distracted by physical fitness rather than turning to the bottle for therapy. So it's basically physical fitness as a therapy or self-help AA kind of group where they can be accountable for each other. So it's a good thing that he's doing. So he's continuing to do that. And he's continuing to work. Meanwhile, he is encouraging Bianca to stop spending her accident money so frivolously and get a job. But she doesn't want to do that. She wants to continue to I don't know how much money this girl got. I don't remember how much she said, but it must be millions because she ain't been working. We know for at least 6 months. When she wasn't working. When he got out, she moved to wherever he was at when he got released and stayed there in a furnished apartment. And now I'm pretty sure they've done whatever they did to get this apartment. But they are making small moves, starting step by step, baby steps on building their life together. So that's a great thing, especially for Daniel, because it does seem like he's trying to make every effort to be a good man. However, it looks like he should have been by himself for a little while. It seems like he's still battling the transition for himself and getting that self-help that he needs before including someone like Bianca, who is very needy and a princess, if you will, to kind of cloud his judgment and progress. So what's happening now is that he's going through the motions and explaining what his steps are and what he's been doing since being out, which is all good progress. However, he backslid, and he is super emotional about that. I guess he turned up the bottle or snipped the line. I don't know exactly what he did, but I think he black slid, took a little bit of that drink, and he had to confess this to the leader of their barrels and not bottles group. And he's working through that, moving forward. However, while he's doing this, and I think, Bianca attended one with her, and she also said that she stopped drinking because it was starting to take a toll on her mental health. So that's good, not only for her, but for him, because, y'all know last season, she didn't give a darn if he was trying to be sober or not. She was going to keep on drinking. But clearly she has seen the light and had some compassion for her partner, who is actually trying to live a sober life. So I'm glad that actually happened. But we're still dealing with the issue that she has some envy towards her friend who is also getting married and has children. So she went out dress shopping with her, and while she was out dress shopping, and mind you, the retail assistant was being so extra. I know good and well that whoever this man was, he does not act like that on the regular. It seems like because you knew that you was on TV, you just had to put on and be super extra, super dramatic, being the purse type gay to me. Like, you're just being extra. So excuse me if I offended anybody by saying that, but it's just like, I just feel like you were just being too much for TV. But anyway, they're at this wedding shop searching for dresses, and Bianca admits that she is envious of her friend because her friend is, shopping for these beautiful dresses. She has a family or planning a family. She just has this perfect life, which is very dangerous that she admitted that she's envious of her friend's lifestyle. That is very, very, very dangerous and something to keep an eye on, because she will probably never be happy if she doesn't have a particular image of what she believes perfection is, and she's not going to find it in Daniel at this moment. But I'm pretty sure it will still be an issue with her pressuring him for a better ring, which he's already felt bad about, and they kind of showed that when he was like, you deserve better, but that's all he could afford at the moment. What does she expect? Be thankful. Anyway, so while she's in there shopping for dresses, she just decided to, try on a dress herself just for the fun of it. And she picks out this morbid, it's beautiful, it's a nice black sequin, lacy kind of dress, but she is so pasty that it makes her look like Wednesday Addams. Now, maybe with a little makeup, a little tan, her hair done, the look would be complete and it wouldn't look as drab as it did, but she did no justice to that dress. It's like, I can see the vision, but just not on you. And it could be just because you just look drained, you look stressed, you look cold, you look like you need some blood. So let's just pray for Bianca and Daniel, because it seems like, they are emotionally stressed out with each other in this whole process. And I hope that they are able to find some kind of common ground, and hopefully we'll see that in the season to come. Until then, thank you for watching, and I'll check you next time. Just saying.